Hello. All right. I think I figured out how to get started, and there are two viewers, which doesn't. I don't think that. Oh, three now. That's a crowd. We can get started. Hello, everyone. This is my first YouTube live stream, and I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. If this is working, could someone say something in the chat? Tell me if you can see me. Tell me if you hear me. I could also check myself, but this is a way to kind of wake up and get a little engagement while I sip my coffee. And fix my hair. My lovely fluffy hair. Tabitha's telling me she sees me and hears me, so that's all the confirmation I need. If Tabitha's happy, then I'm happy. All right. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna, cause I'm ready to go. So well, bam. I'm not ready to go. Well, bam. Let me full screen. Now, real Wabam. There we go. Art Frog, Aaron, what's up, man? Yeah, welcome to the first thing in the morning live stream. The idea is that I will be doing these every Monday morning, starting at 8, for the first hour and a half of the day. So let's see. What you can expect from these streams is a little bit of this, a little bit of awkward me talking to the camera and pretending I'm talking to someone real, because not used to that, but that's okay because I'm going to be doing as little of that as possible. Because very quickly I'm going to segue into the slideshow, which is kind of going to be the sort of way we start. Well, I'll just be going through slides that I usually will hastily prepare the night before of things I've been doing and thinking about during the week. And then that'll take up about 25-30 minutes, after which we'll open Drawpile. And if you've never used Drawpile before, we'll give a quick tutorial, because Drawpile is a really cool program where you can download it to your desktop, and I think there's also a browser version now that also works on iPad, which is new to me, but I heard recently you can also do this on your iPad. And you join a session and you can draw on a shared canvas with your friends, or I guess anyone, strangers, enemies. We share the canvas together, and so for the last hour of the stream, we'll put on some chill tunes and just draw along with each other. And yeah, so that should be fun, and have a little chat and draw. And then it's fun because at the end sometimes you get a cool, collaborative mural, which I'll post on Insta after the chat so everyone can enjoy the results. And yeah, if you want to share your social media credentials, I can tag you and all that. And then that'll be it. Just a nice, lean, mean hour and a half stream to start the day. Yeah, so that's the plan for today. But in the future, I'd love to have guests call in. That's another ball I'm gonna have to be juggling during stream, so I'm not gonna be kicking off with that just yet. That'll be something I'll incorporate going forward. A little easier technologically is having just someone here with me streaming. Easier technologically, maybe a little harder on the convincing side, because it means someone will have to leave their home at least 7:30, I guess, to get here on time. But I'm hoping my seize the day energy will really rub off on people, and they'll want to come join me in person, because a lot more fun in person, and then I'm not sitting in my basement, more or less having the feeling of talking to myself. And on location streams, I'd also love, again, technologically, we'll see, it'd probably be a way more simplified than having OBS and all that to switch between different screens, but it might be fun to, just set up the phone in a cafe or something and get together with some friends early in the morning and do a stream on location somewhere, or maybe from someone else's house. Maybe someone doesn't want to come to me, but look, I'm willing to go to them. I'm willing to do what it takes. And of course, better slideshows. So, I put this one together last night. And a lot of the ideas, a lot of these slideshows, as we'll get into one today, will be these sort of works in progress, as they're sort of a tool I use to organize my own thoughts and clarify things. So a lot of times these slideshows, as I present them in the streams, will be very much a first draft of both the thoughts and the layout. But in the future, because I'm going to be, once I've created the slideshow, I'll be refining them and making them available through Patreon as sort of, in a more readable format as PDFs. And I'm thinking that maybe some weeks I will show an old slideshow that I've done some revisions on to show the updated version. So I'd also love to include a lot of original artwork, like into them, not just text and images that I screen cap from Google Images. Make it a reason to create drawings for it, so they'll also be hopefully prettier to look at. So why am I making slideshows? I kind of hinted at that. Slideshows rule. They're really fun. And Aaron, I'm slurping on some. We got some Keurig pods. I have to admit it. This is a Keurig pod coffee. Usually get the refillable one and ground my own grounds, but right now we have some bucks, some Starbucks pods. So I'm sipping on coffee, courtesy of Starbucks and Keurig. Neither of them sponsors, but I'm working on it. But yeah, slideshows, they rule. And honestly, I've always, I find slideshows to be just a fun medium for presenting things. I really kind of rediscovered it this summer, making some slideshows for presentations for when I was mentoring some students. And I found one thing I liked about it was the process of putting them together forced me to really actually be gathering my research and clarifying my thoughts, because you often you don't want long, because I find if I'm writing very long form. I'm writing long paragraphs that are sort of overly wordy or repetitive. And with a slideshow, you don't want someone reading you want enough information on there that they're following along, but not so much that they're just reading your slides. So it often forces you to dilute every thought down to what can be essential hook words on the actual slide that let you talk about it. And then, of course, this is great because I don't need a script. I don't need to remember what to say during streams, because it's just reading off the slides. A little disclaimer, I'm just some guy. If you learn something from any of this, sweet, cool. I'm not claiming to have all the answers at all, and I'm just going to tell you what I'm interested in, what I've been trying. If any of this has the vibe of it's instructive or prescriptive or whatever, it might not work for you. I don't even know if it works for me. This is just what I'm presently trying, And my philosophy has always been, you listen to what works for other people, you take what resonates with you, you try it out. Maybe it feels right. If it does, maybe keep doing it. Eventually, the ones that fit into your life become your habits, and then you have your own way of doing things. So, by no means am I. By no means is this even what I'm going to show today, even a fully fleshed out process. It's just a process I'm currently developing for myself and finding out what works for me. And the topic for today is scheduling and how structure enables freedom. So, schedules stifle creativity is kind of what I used to believe. And I always think of this scene from Le Petit Prince, the feature film version from, I'm not sure exactly when it was from, the 2000s or 2010s. But there's this great scene with this great designed chart where the mom is showing the kid her entire life plan. You know, every break, it's broken down to the minute, and it's also broken down across years of how she's going to do her homework at this time and eat at this time, and all that's going to lead to a career at this age. And of course, it's meant to be a contrast to the sort of more fluid, creative world of a child's mind, conveying that scheduling takes the fun and spontaneity out of life, almost denies the truth of life, where you try to put, controls and a framework on life, but it doesn't really work that way. And to try to put it into those boundaries is a fool's errand. And so this is obviously an exaggerated version of what we often do to ourselves, and what authority figures we see them trying to do to us. And it's a sort of like an internalized friction I had with the idea of scheduling. It always seemed scheduling felt like it's for stuff you have to do. It's not for what you want to do with your life. It's all the obligations, all the boring stuff, all the hard stuff. So why would you ever make your own schedule? Why would you confine yourself to a schedule if you didn't have to? Especially with art. Art is supposed to be free and wild, man. It's supposed to have no plan. You're supposed to let the muse guide you, right? So, for a long time, I was at odds with literally, like, just even basic scheduling for my life, beyond, getting to work on time. But I've learned throughout, it's, this lesson has been taken me a couple times to learn, but if you don't make decisions about your life, if you don't schedule your time, it will be scheduled for you. So what that means is, if you're not intentionally setting aside time for things that are important to you, other things will rush in to fill that space. So it's kind of like saying, if someone asks you what you're doing tonight, and you go, oh, nothing, I'm just hanging around the house, when really you did plan on getting some stuff done, some chores or whatever. But if you say nothing, then someone's going to go, great, meet me, come to this party, and they see no reason why you shouldn't. That's just an example of it's the nature abhors a vacuum. Things will be looking to take up your free time. So if you want to know what's important to someone, watch how they spend their money and their time. And that includes yourself. So if you, we talk about what's important to us, and we have our ideas of what's important to us, but take a look at how you're spending your time and see if it reflects what you say is important. And if it's not, if those things are misaligned, one of two things is true. Either it's really not that important to you, and that's why you're not making time for it, or you're just not being intentional enough about setting yourself up to give time to things that are important to you. Either way, it will instigate some reflection. And so if you don't make time for it, so if you think scheduling it might stifle the joy of it, well, if you don't schedule for it, you might just lose it completely. Schedules can facilitate fun. They don't have to just be for things you don't want to do to force you to do them, right? It seems obvious that you could schedule anything. It wasn't for me. Scheduling seemed to be like fun is spontaneous. Everything like work appointments, those are the things you schedule. So think about it. If you open your schedule and it was full of music festivals and pizza parties, water balloon fights, would that make those things boring? No. If you like a music festival does have a schedule, actually. Like you do have to be at the music festival on time, and you have a lot of fun while you're there. So it's just intuitively this idea that because things have to start on time and you have to be at a certain place on time, you're like killing the spontaneity of it. Just isn't true. So prioritize and plan for fun and for leisure the same way you do for your obligations. Treat them with a similar level of importance because they are equally important. And then scheduling becomes not this annoying, nagging thing. It becomes a tool to create a richer life for yourself. So it's the sort of the paradox that, planning ahead lets you live in the moment. Because what not living the moment is always projecting to the future, thinking, oh, what do I have to do later? And it's getting ahead of yourself. Well, if you set aside some time intentionally, say at the start of the week or whatever, sometime, whenever you want, to make all those decisions about what you're going to do throughout the week and how you're going to spend your time, you don't have to spend all that time fretting and deciding. So scheduling has allowed me to lock in to a task that I'm doing, knowing that obligations will be met and there'll be time for things that make life worth living. Because I think one thing I fret about is thinking, oh, I have all these things I have to do. When am I going to get to do the things I actually want to do? And if I've made a point of scheduling that for later, I've offloaded that concern. And I know once I've done everything, I'll have the time, and the time has been made for that. So we'll get into a bit of more nitty gritty. Again, I've just started doing this. This is my method. Find one that's fun for you. The main reason that I've started doing this is I've just finished a contract, and for the past year, the main block of my time, that 9 to 5 block in the middle of each day, has been scheduled for me. I show up to work, I do my assignments someone else decides what I'm working on that day. They tell me, they show me, I do it, I send it to them, they tell me if it's good, or I make the changes, send it back. Just for context, I'm an animator, and this was an animation job. So that contract ended on Friday, and now I'm working for myself and working on my own projects and working on my friends' projects, which is a lot more, especially with my own. I dictate the schedule. That's completely up to me. So it's down to me to be both sides, the person making it and the person scheduling the time. So to ensure that I don't fall behind on that stuff, and I can track my commitments to these projects, I just thought, well, I'm just going to kind of not build out my whole schedule and be more intentional about how I'm spending my time in a more holistic way. So not just about the work itself, but all the things surrounding it. Because I really wanted to create a more holistic view of how I'm approaching my work, and it being a big part of how I live my life and how I want to spend my time, how that ties in with my health and my social life, and kind of incorporate all those things. So this is how I broke down these things into categories. And of course, these are my categories, because this is how these things parcel out in my head. For you, one or two or these might be combined. But my categories are in semi-particular order, and I'll get to that. Are create, work, manage, organize, plan, research, care, socialize, relax. So right off the bat, you can see how a lot of these could overlap. Um, Socializing with friends can be relaxing as well. And of course, plan and research sort of sound like the same thing. I'll get into how I break these things down. Create and work, how are those different? So I'll go through the categories as I see them for myself, and maybe that'll help. You think about how you break these things down in your life, and I guess the main the source of why I break them down all is because they're reflecting different needs that have to be met, and I'll get into it later, but like for example, socialize and relax. Well, socializing isn't always relaxing. It could because socialize is also includes family time, and sometimes like family time is like there are obviously you spend great times with your family and really enjoy yourself, but there are things that you do because they're obligations. They're not relaxing. Like for example, say your family lives out of town and you have to travel to see them, and it's winter and the roads suck. You might not count that as it's social because you're maintaining your relationships with your family, but it's not relaxing. Everyone has that experience of needing the vacation after the vacation, right? So there are times where you're socializing and it is relaxing, but making time to actually just relax and basically not make demands on yourself, I feel like that's a separate need, obviously, but even though they can overlap. So create. This is me when I'm creating. So if I'm being fully honest, this is my main priority in life. I build the rest of my life around it, because as long as I feel if I don't support this part of myself, other things start to it lessens other aspects of my life. So, and just because of all the different things I want to do creatively, it just takes up a lot of time. So I just give this the position of full-time job, more or less. And so create encompasses everything that's my personal creative work. So that can count. That's both solo stuff and the stuff I do in collaboration with other people. So music, drawing, writing, and animation. Work. So obviously, even though the create stuff is work, I'm doing similar stuff that I would for a job. This is the time I'm doing paid work. So the personal work currently doesn't pay, but the idea is to kind of synthesize these two aspects as much as possible. But yeah, sometimes the work I do outside of my creative stuff is not in any way really aligned with, or there's no real overlap with the stuff my creative pursuits. So I count that differently. And like I said, they do sometimes overlap, but they are different. One is like, I guess this is how I make my money, and the other one is how I feel creatively fulfilled. And if I'm doing both at the same time, that's great, but I consider them separate. Because I've also thought about, let's say I get to a point where I'm fully making money just off my own creative work, and then sort of create has become work. Then I might need some other outlet purely for creative stuff that's not tied to how I'm making my money. So leaving those separate lets me kind of keep those two considerations in two hands. So manage. These are all the peripheral tasks around both create and work. Pat Parody said something in the chat. It's funny because I've had to start scheduling video games with friends. I'm actually going to get to, that is coming up. Because there are too many different people who have kids and priorities. Scheduling fun is top shelf advice. I totally agree, especially when you're trying to coordinate fun with other adults who all have obligations that they're scheduling for. It's easier said than done because everyone has very complex lives, and priorities are always shifting and stuff. Okay, so back to manage. This includes everything like responding to emails, filling out forms, updating information, posting on online platforms, and I keep all this separate because the tasks involved in this put me in a completely different headspace, obviously, than doing the actual creative stuff or my work. So I like the idea of, so I don't do this yet. I'll say this. I sprinkle this through the day and it's random. I'm trying a new thing where I just like make a list of them like that needs to be done. And then I schedule time to do them, respond to all the emails, update all the things, rather than switching back and forth all the time into different mindsets. So yeah, the next one, organize. So this is its own category because this is more, I think, like part of this is like fun for me. So it's, organizing is just like, put the pens with the pens and the markers here, and put your the untouched paper in this shelf, and put your notebooks over there. But I find part of this process of going through things and putting things in their right place. First of all, like with part of what I'm incorporating in this is going through old drawings. So that part is actually like I find really enriching to my create side, because look, I'll go through a pile of drawings and I'll find one that maybe I didn't think much of when I did it. But I'll be like, hey, you know what? This is interesting. I might want to flesh this out. And then I put it in a different pile, and that pile is designated to be like, take a look at this later and maybe take another crack at it. Or if it's like already a pretty solid drawing, maybe it's just about like, give it a clean and color pass. And because a lot of times just looking through old drawings has been how I find something that I actually want to finish off and make into a finished art piece. Because oftentimes, I don't know, when I'm drawing it at the time, I don't really, this is pretty common. I don't see what's good about it in the moment. I'm just trying to do something, and I feel like I kind of am, the drawing is me trying to get at something I'm not quite reaching. But then, of course, I see it later, and I don't know what I was trying to do. So I just see it for what it's worth. And so I include that in this organized category, even though it also includes things like just, deleting old files, like your downloads folder gets cluttered, deleting stuff, putting stuff in the right file folders. But it, again, directly supports both work and create, because when I'm looking for, whatever, an asset I've made that I can reuse, I have a better idea of where it is because, I've put it in the right place. And I just find this a very enjoyable and meditative task. So I said this can seem, I guess, maybe similar to manage, but manage, those, it's kind of purely obligation based. It's like things you have to update your information. There's nothing fun about that, but with organize, it's I find it's like a meditative and I don't know, it's like a refreshing feeling. Cleaning your desktop feels good, right? All right, plan. So plan is kind of going back to what I was saying at the start, zooming out, taking time specifically to look at your week, look at your days, look at the months ahead. And really that's as far as I go. I only think about like maybe a month or two at a time, really. I have some ideas of where I want to go, but I don't spend too much time planning for things, I don't know, a year or even maybe a year, but like years ahead is very, I don't know. It's, to me, that's too abstract to really do this kind of thinking with. Because what I'm doing here is I'm actually trying to think, like I'm making scheduling decisions. So with the month, I'm thinking just about bigger goals, what I want to have accomplished by the end of the month. And then, of course, when you get week to week, day to day, it's a little more specific. Research. Okay, so this is time I will spend looking into new ideas. Because this is new as well, wanting to make specific time for this. Because I always think, like, I watch something, right? Just like as for fun, I'm just watching a TV show, or I see a clip of something, and I think to myself, I really like how this show does their timing, and I like how they get away with doing so little, so few drawings, and make the timing still feel really full and fleshed out. And I really want to take the time to break that down, and I almost never do. If I don't do it in the moment, I have this idea that I'm gonna like sit down like I used to do in school. I think school prompts you to do this sort of thing for assignments, but also just because you're in that headspace. I remember being like, I like this artist, and then I would just sit for a couple hours after I finished my lunch and literally just like look through all their art and draw from it. And really accelerates your learning when you're actually engaging with these things that are inspiring you. So I'm making time for that. This will also, so a lot of the stuff is obviously tied directly to mostly create, maybe work as well. And then these slideshows I'm going to be using as a tool to do that research, to gather the info and give it more clarity for myself, and also be able to present it to other people. Social. So this is me with my friends. We're all drinking milkshakes. We like to share our milkshakes. And this includes time devoted to family and friends. So includes I have a weekly meeting with friends where we get together for a drink and draw. When it counts for having friends over, it counts going to events, getting out there and seeing people, family events, birthdays, all that stuff. This is all clustered under one category. So this is further down the list because now you'll see the final three sort of cluster together. So the other ones are sort of about whatever my professional artistic life, and these are about that's about what I do, and this is more about who I am. Of course, those two things interact in many different ways, but I find it's easy for me to make both sort of imbalances, but sometimes because creative work is my priority, I can sometimes let other things that are important slip. So I find it's important to kind of think of these as two parts of myself that both need to be fed so that they can, the two wolves within me, if you will. And then leisure, just chilling. Because seriously, schedule time for your video games. Because obviously video games can be a total black hole of where all your time disappears. I experienced that this weekend. I just wanted to play a little bit of Zelda, and I got caught up in the story, and I didn't mean to spend 4 hours in Hyrule, and then I was like, oh shit, I gotta get going. There's places I have to be. And I find sometimes I'm playing games and I have this nagging thought in my head where I'm like, what am I doing? Is this a good use of my time? But I'll tell you, if I've met all my obligations for the day, if I've spent time with family, I've done the groceries, and laundry is going, and I sit down for a couple hours of Tears of the Kingdom, it feels really good. And I think that's because it's important, but it has to be just placed it's important, it has to be placed in the right place in your life. So I think, again, scheduling is a key, to be intentional about this, about the amount of time you put into it, being part of a bigger picture of how you're spending your time and how these things play against each other. And really just about maximizing the joy of that playtime, baby. and care. So this is stuff for my human body, my vessel. And I put it last. And not because it's the least important. It's actually because it's sort of the twin of the most important thing, which is create. Care and create are the bookends that support everything else in my life. This includes chores and appointments, exercise, cooking. If I'm not healthy, then if my body isn't healthy, then I can't create. And if I am not being creative, then I don't really care about myself. I'm just being real. I heard recently, and I'm gonna do that thing where I repeat something a guy told me at a party as if it's true. So take this with the smallest grain of salt you can find. The Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's the pyramid, where at the bottom of the pyramid is basically this stuff, right? It's food, shelter, health, and stuff. You need that stuff figured out before you can get to the higher needs, right? Which at the top of the pyramid being self-actualization, I think is the terminology. It's you need to, if you're starving, you're not going to be thinking about a sense of self. You're going to be thinking about biological needs. But what this random person at a party was telling me, I forget who it was, but is this idea that this was an inversion of a principle that existed in Aboriginal cultures that was actually had the hierarchy reversed. And it's, if people don't have a sense of self, then they don't even care to pursue survival. It's like the sense of self-actualization is what motivates you to want to stay alive, which honestly seems like the other one seems kind of more like obvious and like concretely true. But the other one has a real, I don't know, resonated to me, because not just for myself, but you think about sort of people when they're trying to address symptoms of social issues in the world. Often they think about like people having a sense of community and a sense of place. Like we have all the things to make our survival taken care of. We all have, like we have like, if you're privileged, I guess, if you have these things where you have Uber Eats, you can have your food brought to you and you have to leave your house and all that stuff. But there's a sort of like oftentimes addressed as like a lack of meaning or purpose at the center of modern life. That sure, people can keep their bodies alive, but it actually doesn't result in actual like health. People are get unhealthy because really just because you're keeping yourself alive doesn't mean you're actually taking care of yourself. Hi Jason, how's it going? We're just getting to the end of this slideshow. We've got a couple more points, then we'll be opening up the draw pile. Because 8:40, this is already going long. So I'll try to go through this pretty quickly. So it's all okay. So these are all the buckets, and there's sort of rules and thoughts I have about how these things can interact. So, for example, at any time, care can steal from any other category, and in this order. So I'm not going to list them, but you see there's an order. It steals from research, leisure, and create is last, right? Because it's the other important category. Work and create can steal time from others, but not care. But if this happens too regularly, this forces a assessment where I adjust my parameters and expectations. So basically, if something's always stealing time from something else, then I go, well, why is that happening? Is that because I'm just not giving enough time to this other category? Is it that my expectations are too high and it's forcing me to throw things out of balance? So it forced me to diagnose the issue. And again, I'll say categories can overlap. For example, doing this is sort of planning and research because I'm making my schedule, I'm planning, and I'm also kind of thinking about how I'm approaching it, which is research, because I'm also then presenting my thoughts in the form of a slideshow. So whenever things are overlapping, I highlight those areas because overlap is inner harmony within your life. I want to make a part of this is like, oh, I'm separating everything into different categories. And it might kind of feel like, oh, just trying to bifurcate and like clean and create borders between all the parts of my life. But really, ideally, I kind of label these things, but they overlap and synthesize and feed into each other. The planning helps the research, helps the creative, helps the work, helps me, the care. I'm doing, I can sometimes do two of these things with one at one time. And to me, that's the ideal state to get to, is where all these things are in concert with each other, right? Because it's all adding up to one life. And so I'm gonna go through all of my whole schedule. I'm gonna focus just on create, and then we'll move on. And also because some categories are more naturally broken down into discrete tasks already. Go to the grocery store, pay this bill, play this video game. I'm not breaking it down much further than that. If I'm not, go to the grocery store, go to the bread aisle. No, I can just go to the grocery store, and the stuff you need is there. You go there, you buy it, and you come home. That's a task. But create often requires me to break the bigger tasks into smaller ones and schedule them individually. So ideally, I think I look for things that are like 2 to 4 hour chunks. So example, if I make an animated video, whether it's with dialogue or with music, that's 10 to 12 tasks, which need to be scheduled individually because they often have different considerations about when and where I do them. So this is just, I'm not expecting you to read all this. This is just how I'm currently breaking down my workflow for the stuff I'm going to be doing in the months ahead. So, something I can do only at home, something I can do while I'm out. So I break them up and place them across the days of the week intelligently, considering things like, okay, well, if I can do this while I'm out, well, then I can maybe roll it into when I'm out doing other things, socializing, running errands. And that way I can be like, and also if there's something I can do outside the house, and I'll be like, I'll do that during the day so I can at least get some sunshine, maximize, especially during the winter. And do the things I can do at home in the evenings when it's dark out. And I'm not as I mainly try to work 9 to 5 and keep those kind of boundaries, but of course, because I'm just working for myself and making my own schedule, I can take my relaxation time, my care time, all those things that you kind of have to usually save for the weekend. I can do those during the day and then just work in the evenings. So it's, as long as those time things are being met by the end of the week, then it's not as important where I put them. But I still like to consider that. So this is how I've started to map out my time on my Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. I love that it lets me know when things are coming up. I love that I love color coding. I love a colorful calendar. So all my categories are color coded. And so far I've started to put in, like, the green is for health, the purple is planning, blue is create, pink is social, yellow is leisure. So, you'll see, you probably can't read this, but I religiously watch Saturday Night Live. So I put that in my schedule. And this is where I want to play Zelda, because I want to play it. I want to do some story stuff, and I have to plan for that because me and my girlfriend have to play it together because she wants to see the story. So schedule those video games. I even put I schedule in time too for travel, and I don't necessarily just mean like traveling the world or whatever. Traveling from my home to an event, because a lot of times I'm taking the bus. It takes about an hour to get there, and I find a lot of times that stuff creeps up on me. So I like to put it in there. Because also I can look at my schedule and go, ooh, I'm going to be on the bus for an hour. I could maybe do something with that time. I could listen to a podcast. Maybe I'm doing research on a certain topic and I can listen to something. Or I'm also, a little plug here, releasing a podcast starting next month with Tabitha Fisher. And right now we're editing episodes. And so this is a good time for me to be able to listen to a recording, take notes on my phone, or listen to an edit and kind of see how it's sounding. So yeah, I like to. So if it seems maybe like, oh, you put the time you're gonna be on the bus and the schedule, that's a bit much. It's for a specific purpose. It's because I might, if I look at that and go, oh, hey, I could do that then. I don't need to schedule that separately. I could, leave that some time blank. Because here, before I get to my last point, I inserted this last second. This is just a quick tip that I think helps me so much, and it's obvious, it's right there, but I didn't use it until this past year. And this was actually thanks to Tabitha kind of highlighting this aspect of Google Calendar, is use the insert link to attach links to documents or whatever you're going to need for a task. So this, like, for example, if you're going to write, right? And like, I think a lot of people have this problem. So they're going to, you schedule, okay, this is time where I'm just going to draw. I'm going to draw whatever I feel like drawing. And then the time comes, you're like, I don't know what to draw. Well, I find you always know what you want to draw when you're not drawing, right? When you're just out and about, you're like, oh, it'd be cool to draw this or that. And you have a cool idea. So keep a note list. Keep it like, when you have these thoughts, jot them down in a list, and then link that list to the task. There you go. It's going to pop up on your phone, say it's time to draw, and there's going to be a link to all the thoughts you had about what to draw. So there you go. You got everything you need. This is also, by the way, super useful for flights and for bus tickets and all that stuff, for festivals, whatever. It's in your calendar. Just link in the event, link it to your ticket. So it pops up on your phone. It's time to get on this bus. You click it. The link's right there. You don't have to search your email or whatever. So that's how I started using it. But I'm like, hey, this applies to keep myself on task creatively. And Patrick says, anything that takes longer than like 20 minutes should probably be scheduled. Anything that takes less than 5 minutes should never be. I think that's, I think that's a good way to think about it, because I'm always trying to look for things that feel like discrete chunks of like an hour at least, or 2 hours. And then like, but I think the 5 minute stuff, like the little tasks you could do around the house, how I'm going to be trying to approach that going forward is just keeping a list of those things and then devoting time to just knocking a bunch of those 5 minute things off the list. So basically put aside an hour, or put aside 20 minutes to do a bunch of 5 minute things. Of course, sometimes you're just going about your day and you notice the stove's a little dirty, and you clean it just because you want some busy work, and that's fine. This is not, a schedule is not necessarily a rigid thing, and I'll get into that at the very end here. But another thing is important is leaving space. So you'll notice I don't fill every second of every day. You need room to breathe. Things take longer than you think. It takes time to transition from one task to another. You get a phone call, things will come up, and if you're always right up against the next thing, you're going to keep failing at following your schedule. And then, like I said before, scheduling travel time, because it always sneaks up on me that I forget, oh yeah, that event's at 6, but I have to leave at 5 to get there, which means I have to be ready 4 or 5, which means I have to all those things where I go, oh, that's not till 6. And then I always get that time blindness, especially if I'm immersed in something I really like doing, where I forget about all the time it takes to get ready and get out of the house. And I think most importantly, all this, if this seems very rigid, and it often can, schedules are flexible and adaptive. At least they should be. And I think we're just used to the things that are being scheduled for us, obligations made on our behalf, work things. where someone's telling us the schedule, and if we don't follow the schedule, we're punished, whatever. A schedule is a guess at how things are going to go, right? It's a projection into the future. And if you're not being flexible and adaptive, your guesses aren't going to get any better, right? You're just going to keep making the wrong guesses. It's about being intentional, which doesn't mean rigid. Intentional is also about taking in the feedback you get from applying your schedule to your life and seeing where things are not lining up. So going back to what I was saying earlier about if I keep notice something stealing time from something else, I'll just incorporate that into my planning. I'll say, well, obviously this needs more time because I'm always stealing time from this. So I'm just going to give this more time. Or maybe the answer is I just need to lower my expectations about what can be done in a week. You know, I'm trying to hit some goal and I'm like, okay, I can't get that much done in a week. So I'm lowering the goal. And that's not defeat. That's like, it's intelligently recognizing what your abilities are and working within them. I think most people here probably in this chat are work in animation, and they're very familiar with the frustration that comes from a poorly planned schedule and knowing that the only reason this is getting done on time is because people are pushing themselves beyond the schedule. People are working overtime. And that means the schedule was wrong, right? But because there's this tension of like, well, if I say I didn't get it done time, then they'll fire me and all that. No one ever is like learning the lesson that things take longer than you thought they did. But this is your own schedule. So you can make those choices for yourself. So don't make the same mistakes that they do. Pillars. This is one of my last notes with these hunky pillar men. Because pillars are hot and strong. They're good. I think it's super important to have things that you do at certain times of the week, no matter what, as much as possible. And this is outside of your external obligations. Things that you are choosing to do for yourself, but that you insist that are scheduled and important, and that you do them all the time. Traditions, I think, because they give you this they reinforce a sense of discipline, but they also reinforce this idea that the things I want to do are as important as the things I need to do, and that those two things can, going back to overlap and harmony, those things can be the same thing. You know, you play sports with friends, that's socializing and taking care of your body, things like that. And so for me, one of those things is this stream. So I'll be doing this stream on Monday mornings, every Monday, and I'm so adapting the schedule to changes that need to be made. I'm realizing, I thought I could bang out the slideshow in 20 minutes. Here we are, an hour in, and I'm still yakking. So lesson learned. This part takes an hour. So we're already applying the lessons. This is great. But yeah, I'll be doing this every Monday morning, similar format, do a slideshow and then drop into a group hang and draw. And maybe we'll go, it might also need to be longer than an hour and a half. Maybe these things are 2 hours because we want time to draw, right? So, but yeah, just doing it regular times and just doing it consistently, because it's important to you and what the things you want to do. And I think that's the last slide. Oh yeah. Okay. So draw pile starting soon. So if you don't know what draw pile is, I'll reiterate because there's more people here now, including Joel. Hey Joel, I'm on the TV. Do you actually have me on the TV, or am I just on a computer screen? Because if I'm on TV, then I know I've really made it. But yeah, so if you don't know what draw pile is, I'm going to be getting the draw pile set up, and I'll be posting the join link in the chat, and I'll pin it to the top so it's easy to find. Oh, I'm not on TV. One day. So you just go to, so download the software. I'm not sure how it works with the browser version, but if you download it to your desktop, you just go to session, you go to join, and there'll be a place to paste the link, and it might ask you to like log in with your Drawpile account. You can skip that. You can just make a nickname for yourself, and you'll be able to just join the canvas. So I'm gonna get that set up now. Wow, chat's blowing up. I have made it regardless. Have fun, make socks. Oh yeah, this is back in the day when we used to use our draw piles to make socks. See, overlap in all things. I think I have a delay. I saw Joel's reply to your question before you asked it. Whoa. Live streaming is a brave new world. I don't really know what's going on here. I just downloaded OBS last night and got all this stuff set up. But yeah, we'll learn more about the existential ramifications of time dilation through live streams as we go. Okay, I'm gonna take a second to set up this draw pile, and I'll post the link, and then we'll draw like buddies. It'll be great. Okay, be right back. draw pile is open for anyone who wants to join. The link is at the top of the chat. I'm just going to set up some background music because I might go pretty silent here. I didn't set this up before, so give me a second. Pretty sure that should be on my royalty-free music. Oh, my volume is low. Is this for my speaking or for the music? I don't think I changed the volume for the mic. I did put the music down lower than before, just so I can talk over it if I want to. Okay. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. I wonder if it has anything to do with how they're ordered in the mixer. Anyway, the music is lower now. Let me know if that's better. Maybe I can also boost it on the device here. Put up by 1 or 2. Or you know what, maybe I can switch. I'll switch to my headset mic now. Because I will be kind of away from the Zoom mic. Turn this one on. That should be better. Less quality, but maybe more audible. I guess I should leave the chat open in Drophouse so I can see if anyone's in here. Hey, we got Fishman, we got Art Frog. Alright, let's go. So I've been really into the black canvas and literally just drawing in white over it lately, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna draw some robots because that's my go-to. I think it's good to have a go-to, right? For those times where you don't want to think too hard about what you want to draw today. I've also enjoyed messing around with creating shapes and just filling them in with the bucket and then kind of carving out from there. I don't know how big, okay, no, I'm drawing at a correct size. So maybe, we'll draw for, I think, till 9:45. See how that feels. got Simon Saturday. We got Simon Saturday. Hello, Simon Saturday. What does Simon Saturday do on a Monday? Does he even exist outside of his designated days of the week? I mean, I did see him on Wednesday, so I guess that answers my question. Simon Saturday is for every day. Drawing a robot is what I like to do. Chat up. Is there a way I can keep the OBS chat window alive when I'm in another window? Yeah, seems whenever I click off of it, I lose the chat. Oh well, I'll figure it out later. is a beautiful frog warrior you're drawing, Aaron. Fearsome. I fear him. I fear the frog warrior. He's not real, right? He can't hurt me? Say psych. Say he's not real. That's you. You have to handle a homemade axe to be able to be up at this hour of the day. I understand. Ooh, nice. Simon Saturday is providing my robot with a nice level platform to stand on. Very considerate. Very much like the king we know. King we know and love. I'm gonna draw this without the... Actually, I'm gonna look up how to keep the YouTube chat open. Keep YouTube chat active. I guess I could have it open on my phone for now. Just so I can keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it, in it. So, what's everyone up to today? Butterfly. Productions where he does a lot of different kinds of stuff. And he will be our second guest, and that episode will be coming out a little over a month from now. We'll be doing some light edit on that, a first pass. Is it because I have something selected? What's going on here? Can't talk about it, it's too secret. Ah! Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, gonna be doing some fun animation this week. Some hand-drawn stuff. Excited about getting back into some tradige animation. I like this juxtaposition here of robot in nature. Thank you, Simon Saturday, for showing me the duality of existence. It's been a while since I've used drawpile, I guess. I'm getting my drawpile legs back slowly but surely. The way I like to draw in this program. It's got its own little quirks though. Yeah, if anyone wants to join the draw pile, the link is pinned to the chat. Right now it's just me and Art Frog going ham on here. But feel free to join us. We'll be here for another 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so. You can download Drawpile, just look it up on Google, and you'll either download it or use the browser version. And you can go to session, and you go to join, and copy and paste that address into the bar, and then you will be granted access. Easy as that. And yeah, in the future, one way I want to use this time is to be drawing while maybe interviewing a friend. So I'll need to figure out that part of things about how to balance having a chat with the streaming. As for today, I just want to make sure all the basic stuff is sorted out. And it seems to be working all right. Yeah, I find OBS is a pretty simple software actually to get a hang of. I didn't really need to look up anything yet, but just to get things started up in a very basic way was pretty straightforward, and everything I was looking for, everything I wanted to do, I was able to find the solution pretty easy. The layout was pretty intuitive. There's some things like, I'm not sure if I'm doing it the normal way, but it worked. Like for example, the little border, I wanted to have a little border around my camera like that, and I just made a colorful square and sized it so that it's around my camera screen. I don't know if there's a simpler way of doing that, if there's something built into the software that just lets you create a border, but I couldn't find it. So this was my little workaround. Maybe that's just how it's done. But yeah, there's things I want to know, like if you can lock elements together. Like if I want to move the camera, can I also, how do I do it? Like, can I select multiple things at once and move them? No. Yeah, it's like I'm selecting one thing at a time. So, all right, see ya, Dennis, see ya, Simon. Yeah, so there's things I'll have to make notes of and ask more. Yeah, definitely tutorials out there. I find tutorials are great and all, but I find for me the way I like to learn is just to brute force my way through something, get it working as good as I can, and then I have my questions. How do you do this specific thing, A, B, or C? And then I can just ask someone who does this specific questions. Like, I'm not asking them like, oh, tell me how to do this. I'm just going, hey, is this possible? Am I doing this the right way? And just ask these focus questions. And I just find I just learn a lot faster that way, with just fumbling through something, finding my own method of using it, and then gathering informed questions. But I don't know, Aaron, if you know any specific places where there's some good basic streaming tutorials that you would recommend, because of course I'd be more than happy to check those out if you think they would be valuable to a nascent streamer as I. I know you've worked with people who do this kind of stuff, so you might be more knowledgeable about this space. Doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Yeah, that's cool. It's not even so much that I need to be able to move things around on the fly, although having that option obviously would be great. If I feel like my camera's blocking something, it'd be great to be able to move it whenever I want. But even just for when I'm behind the scenes, you know, before a stream, setting something up, and I want two elements sort of like moving in tandem, as like rather than having to always be like grab and have to, you know, especially for like centering something. I mean, right now my border really isn't perfectly centered anyway, but if I were changing the size of my camera, if I wanted it to take up more space but still be in the corner here, it might just be a matter of that I always have to just change the size of two things, which is fine. But if there are options, I'll take them. Oh, I'll take them. I'll take whatever you got, buddy. Do-do-dee-do-dee-doo. this frog. He is ready for battle. Alright, so we'll just draw for another 10-15 minutes. Finish off our beautiful masterpieces. And then get on with the rest of our day, the rest of our week. fill the whole roll. Sorry. I love these eyes. How could I make the eyes better? These eyes are not beautiful. I will make them beautiful. Yeah. Just had to go traditional eyes. There we go. Now he's beautiful. The frog is so beautiful. He can stand next to your frog with pride. Yes, but he needs more frog spots. Yes, now he is coming to life. My frog child. He is alive. Alright. Can I post your frog in my stories and tag you? Mr. Art Frog? Please let me tag you. Please. Sure thing. I'll find some good frog related. Oh, not crazy frog. What's a good frog song? Not Crazy Frog. Anything else? Ooh, The Frogs in the Glen by Kermit the Frog is pretty good. Right, the song you play for the frogs in Ocarina of Time. I did use an Ocarina of Time song for the last story I did. But I really like this beautiful Kermit song, so I'm going to use that. I'm on stream. I'm on stream.
I know, but I need to get to the.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Like, if you can blur.
Okay, go. Go. Alright, pencils down. We have finished a masterpiece. Remember that art is never finished. It is abandoned. In this frog, you've done everything you can for this frog. And now he must live on his own. But you've done everything that he needs from you to prepare him for the life. His frog life. We did it. First stream in the bag. Done. So we'll be back at it next Monday. So I guess this is 8 to 9:45. Whatever. I'm not changing the graphics. It goes 15 minutes over. That's part of what we do. So next week, I think next week what I'm going to present is my first draft of a beginner's guide to the Ottawa Animation Festival, where I'm not going to go too deep into the history of the festival. It's going to be strictly about, if you've never been to the festival and next year is the first year you're going to go, what to expect, how to get the most out of it. And I do think that as a veteran of the festival, having gone now for the past 18 years or so, I qualify as an expert. Yeah, it's a bit over. Now I know if I want to shorten it to, if I want to make it, if I do want to keep it down to 30 minutes, I know how much I need to shave off. But honestly, maybe I'm okay with the first hour being a bit chatty. So yeah, next week, coming in to learn about how to do Animation Festival good. And I do recommend that anyone who's interested in animation in the world, who might be listening to this, makes plans to attend the Ottawa Animation Festival any year, really, but next year, especially the 2026 edition, will be the 50th anniversary of the festival. So it's bound to be a big one. big attendance, probably some really cool retrospectives and stuff. So come tune in next week to learn more about that. Until then, goodbye. Miss you already.